What's up, Dunwoody? Welcome back to the podcast. It's all about Dunwoody, Georgia. My name is Matt Weber. Show is brought to you by Dr. Brett Friedman and Village Orthodontics and our friends at Discover Dunwoody. And today I've got Daniel Bodkin on. He's with Proactive Athletic Performance. And it's kind of a place where you make sure that you're healthy enough to get back to sports. Is that the dumbed down version of it, maybe?
Yes, sir. That's exactly it.
A little bit. Okay. Well, cool. So you've been here since around like 2019. And tell us a little bit about your business in Dunwoody.
Yes, sir. So I'm a physical therapist and athletic trainer, and I opened up Proactive about 2 years ago. And so I work for a company that makes an isokinetic dynamometer. And this is a really expensive, fancy piece of equipment that you can use to basically see how far along recovered you are from like a strength standpoint. So I've been working for them pretty much since I was even a student back in college. And it came time, I was a stay-at-home dad there for a couple years, and it came time for me to open up a clinic. And I decided, should I just be a standard physical therapy clinic, but have all the equipment for the people that come to me? Or could I be more of a testing center? So if you're rehabbing, on the other side of town or another location here in Dunwoody that doesn't have the equipment, they could still have access to it. So I really wanted it to be more of a community test, like a sports medicine lab testing facility.
Okay. You got to niche down, right? The riches
Absolutely.
are the riches. Yeah. And you're helping other people too. And you're probably meeting a lot of other physical therapists and that kind of stuff from doing the tests and reporting back. You got a lot of connections, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Just about the first 6 to 8 months that I was open was just creating a network. So I just Google mapped every PT clinic in a 45-minute driving radius. So I visited about 200 clinics dropping in, and now a lot of them, they're not going to see some of the athletes. But, I still stopped in anyway. And I'm making those connections between the physical therapists, the athletic trainers, the doctors, still making a lot of those connections as well. Just letting them know that, we're here, able to be an adjunct to anything that you're doing with your athletes. So that way they have the best outcomes.
Did every physical therapist that you meet with know what an isokinetic dynamometer was?
Yeah, so it's something that we learn about in school. It's usually in a text in your textbook. It's skipped over pretty fast just because you don't see it as much. It's an old tech that was really popular in the 80s. Then in the 90s in the U.S., the healthcare laws changed. So instead of billing for the equipment you used, you billed for your time. So when the $50,000 machine put out on you, when it quit, you didn't replace it.
Right.
But it stayed really popular overseas. My mentor, while I was a student, he stayed with it in the U.S. So that's where I learned it from with him. And then it's just made a big resurgence in the last 10 years. And I'm in the right place at the right time for it.
That's cool. Where's your office in Dunwoody?
I am right on, it's the Dunwoody Park offices. So if you go up Chamblee Dunwoody Road, there's a Burger King right there. So we're kind of right back behind there. Anybody that just has visited the Lucky Goat coffee shop, shout them out. They just opened up across the street from me. So I've walked over there a few times so far.
Yeah, that's a good guy too. I forgot his name, but he was the owner's a real nice guy. And they're doing pretty well.
Oh yeah.
You get coffee there?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Good place to hang out. Dunwoody has just kind of exploded with these gourmet coffee places. We're no longer just Starbucks now. I don't know. When you moved here in 2019, there was probably just Starbucks, but I feel like
that was pretty much it. But it's really, I almost feel like I'm on the west, the Pacific Northwest sometimes with how many there are.
Yeah, there you go. And you got some walkability over in the Georgetown area.
Certainly.
Okay, so do you work with a lot of Dunwoody high school kids?
Dunwoody, but it's really the whole area. I mean, I've had just this weekend, I had a young lady come in from Gainesville, Georgia.
Okay.
She drove all the way in just because there was nobody else in her area to get this kind of assessment. And
so that machine is that rare, huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's some cities, like I said, I work with this company. I do their installs. About once a week, I fly out somewhere. I have to go to Wilmington, Westchester or Pennsylvania. I have to fly out there tonight. So most cities, you have a handful of them. Then you have a city like Dallas or Minneapolis where we have about 5 to 10 machines in.
Okay.
And so the biggest thing with this is it's twofold. One, you can do training on it. So if you're a patient and you're coming in, we use it to supplement the other exercise you're getting. But the big thing that I use it for is testing. And it's primarily with our ACL injuries right now. With ACL, it's different than most injuries. If you sprain your ankle, you kind of go through your rehab, you let it heal and recover, and you go back to play. And you can kind of figure out when you're ready by how it's feeling. But with ACLs, depending on what study you look at, it's going to be about 1 in 4 are going to re-tear. And the
Really?
bad thing about it is it takes an entire year to recover from that surgery if you want to get back to sports or athletic activity. So that's a pretty bad stat. Our surgeries have gotten way better. Our rehabs have gotten better. But what hasn't gotten better is we haven't been testing just more globally as an industry. So, for every, if you have 10 ACLs that come through your clinic in the year, 4 of those are going to re-tear. So that's a pretty bad stat.
I feel like
And
that's
there's
all of
great,
my friends too. I've played soccer my entire life, and when somebody tears their ACL, there's a decent chance it's going to happen again.
yeah, not
One in
just
four is
that side,
crazy.
but the other side as well. And so you can use this equipment. So I use this, and I also use a force plate system that looks at your strength and your power while you're jumping. The big goal is to get within 10% of that other leg. So if your right leg, if your quad's putting out, 200 foot-pounds, but your left is only putting out 60% of that amount, you won't be able to pick up on that with just normal exercise. Like you might feel like, it's a little bit weak, but while you're squatting or lunging or even doing any training on the field, you can't feel that exact amount. So
Compensating for it.
yeah, exactly. And it's really easy for you to overuse the hip or the ankle to make up for what the knee can't put out. So when you get on this equipment, it's very obvious. We give you precise numbers. You can see on a graph. So we map your torque through your joints range of motion. So you can individualize it to the specific muscle or, pushing up on the way up versus the lowering phase. One might be, 10% weaker, but the other one might be 25% weaker. So now, hey, we need to really just focus on that one last element.
Okay.
Great research came out that showed that if you wait until 9 months after your ACL and you get within 10% of that other leg, your re-injury risk is 84% reduced.
Oh, wow. If you get within 10%, you said?
If you get within 10% and you wait at least 9 months, your risk of re-injury is cut down by 84%.
Looking for something fun for the whole family? Discover Dunwoody is spotlighting all of the best kid-approved and parent-friendly activities around town. From parks and playgrounds to interactive museums and seasonal events, there's always something for families to enjoy here. Their videos and posts make it easy to plan a weekend or trip everyone was going to remember. And if you've got somebody, family or friends coming to town, have them book a stay at whatsupdunwoody.com/hotels. Booking through that link helps support our podcast. And for the latest kid-friendly events, just visit whatsupdunwoody.com/events. What about your days in the combine? I did a little research back in the
when I was a student, like I said, this is an old technology, right?
Yeah.
So there's 2 brothers that bought this equipment from Cybex. And so when they bought it, they approached my old mentor, John Hisimoto in Tampa, and they said, hey, can you help us modernize it? So we kind of started taking newer rehab techniques and theories and applying it to the equipment, and helped them, modernize their software and their equipment. I'm still doing a lot of that work with them, but they came and visited, and they're like, "Wow, this is very different. This is really exciting stuff." So they invited me to the combine. My first year was the year that if you can't see it because it's on my other wall, but I got a big Indianapolis Colts flag. But it was the year that Andrew Luck came through with like RG3, and it was the big quarterback year. I went for 6 years to the combine, and basically we had 3 of these machines lined up, and about every day we'd have 80 guys come through and test on it. So over the course of the 5 days, we would test over 300 people.
Wow. So it wasn't just the injured guys; it was everybody.
Everybody got tested.
How much strength they had in particular.
Exactly. Well, if you're going to be signing a guy to a multi-million, if there is an issue, it doesn't mean that they would not get the job. But that just lets them know, hey, we should do something about this before it becomes an injury.
Right. They want to see what's under the hood before.
It was an exciting week every year. My last year I did it was 2018 because in 2019 my youngest daughter was born that week. Yeah. And then the year after that was COVID. And so then what they decided to do, instead of flying us all out there and getting the equipment there, they're just taking anybody who's had a documented knee injury in their medical record, and then they're sending them to somebody within Indianapolis who has a machine to test them.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Okay. I just kind of drew a blank. Where else you want to go?
We can talk about, other than ACLs, we can talk about performance and how it can be used for that.
Okay. Do you want to talk about physical therapy, or you want to talk about the machine?
Yeah, I'll talk about the machine and how, let's say you have an old injury or something, you can come in.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
So the other way that you can really use this is, let's say you don't have an injury or you've had an old injury and you're wanting to just optimize your performance, right? So a big one I've had come in lately is a lot of runners. So one young man, he started doing marathon training a few years ago, and he was really wanting to improve his, marathon performance, but he couldn't quite get over that hump. Right.
mm,
So he came in and, I tested him on the machine and, he had some knee pain, just some basic knee pain while he was running. So we put him on the machine. And whereas that one knee, that the quad was down a little bit, and I expected that. But what I didn't expect is that his hamstring strength was about 50% of the amount that we would expect. Every body part has different strength ratios. The pusher should be within a certain percentage of the puller, essentially.
yeah.
And for him, his hamstrings were about 50% of the expected value.
Yeah.
So we found that out here, and then we actually teamed up with Lauren Sock at Functionize because they have
Okay.
a
Yeah.
really good a running performance program, and they do a great job of breaking down your running form. So we teamed up, and what she found coincided right with what we found. He was underutilizing the hamstrings. They
Hmm.
also did a bunch of things to improve his hamstring strength, um, changed up his form a little bit, and that really helped him out.
Okay.
So that's the big one. Another one is CrossFitters. You get a lot of shoulder pain, and a lot of times you're able to work through it. But we
Yeah.
just recently had a CrossFitter come in, and he did one workout just to kind of get acclimated to the equipment. But we're going to do a strength test to see, is this just a pain he's having, or is there a significant weakness associated with it?
Yeah.
So it doesn't always have to be a major catastrophic injury. A lot of times it's just to see what imbalances you have, because if you can improve those imbalances, you're at a better performance.
Absolutely. I think, especially as men, we just kind of push through whatever we've got going on. And I tore some little, is like HCCL in my wrist one time. And I
Oh yeah.
wore a wrist wrap, like one of the typing things, for
Hmm.
like, it was like a year and a half probably. And I was like, it'll just get better. It'll get better. And I got some cortisone shots and that kind of stuff. But I would have known that it was torn at the very beginning. Like a smart guy, I should have gone to, get it checked out, that kind of thing. But it does, it hampers the rest of you.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm sure that there's things about me. I always jump off my left foot. And so my left calf is like significantly larger than my right calf. And
Hmm.
with playing soccer, you're jumping off that foot and that kind of thing. And I'm sure if it was more even, that would make a big difference.
Yeah, exactly. We could put you on the force plates, find out exactly how many, newtons of force that left can put out versus the right. I can watch you jump on there and it'll tell me what percentage you're using the left leg over the right, which phase it is. So yeah, there's definitely things you can do with that. Or
And then you give that
even think
information to Lauren, and Lauren has a full
exactly.
workout ready for it. Okay.
Yeah, I always send because even most PTs we're not trained on how to read these graphs and
Yeah.
squiggly lines. So after we do the testing, I'll go over it with you in the clinic, but then I always send a video where I break it down and I send it to you, your PT, or even your doc.
Oh, that's fun.
But yeah, whether it's that or even a lot of times it's an ankle sprain. I
Yeah.
sprain. You hear, oh, I sprained my ankle last year, and now I'm having knee pain. So
Yeah.
we'll look at the knee, but we'll also look, has that ankle strength completely come back yet? So
Right.
we can quantify it. So it's really cool being able to see it right there in
Yeah.
person.
Well, that's cool that you really break it down like that. And you're doing podcasting, you're doing audio messages.
Oh yeah, so I'm the clinical educator for CSMI that makes the Humac. So when people buy the equipment, for me, I just don't want to show up and put it together and tell them what buttons to push. So I have a full
Yeah.
8-hour continuing education course that I teach.
Okay.
So yeah, always I'm actually going through and updating that right now. Every couple of years, I try to refresh it.
Yeah. And when you have something on the side and you can rewatch it, or, oh, I didn't get what he said, skip it back a little bit. Whereas if you're there trying to give them the talk, they might not stop you mid spiel.
Yeah. Exactly. Even when I do about a handful of times a year, I'll fly out and do a live course somewhere. And
Yeah.
I always leave behind my online videos.
As
That
much
way they can
information.
revisit it. And a few
Right.
times a year, I get to go overseas with it. This will be my 5th year that I go to Singapore and teach at the university there. Last year, I got to go to Turkmenistan. That was pretty wild.
Yeah.
So I was there for a week teaching their physios how to run the equipment.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Let's travel. Um, How's your family feel about the lots of travel? Yes,
We
baby's a
have a
little
great
older.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the biggest one is, my wife, she's an oncologist.
Okay.
So it's tough. We've
She's
really
got
had to
her
make
own
it
schedule.
work. Oh, absolutely. The nice thing about my office here is it's big enough to where when the kids are sick, they can come in and they have a
They can
place to
take it home.
stay. I'm
Yeah.
usually the one that takes them to, their orthodontist, shout out to Brett Friedman.
Oh, there you
I
go.
take them over to their visits there when they go to, their doctor's appointments. I'm the one that goes there. So, having, the travel allows me to keep a lighter caseload. I work private, self-pay, so I'm not working with insurances. So that allows me to, instead of, running the company from a ton of volume,
Mhm.
I keep a smaller volume, gives me more time with the patients. It allows me to have that freedom to be dad. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
That's
we
probably a lot of
make it
referrals
work.
too. Once you've got a good connection with other physical therapists, they send people there.
Yeah, exactly. And, a big part of that is just earning their trust. Because,
Yeah.
when you show up and you say, hey, I have all this great equipment, it is natural that you'd be like, oh, they're competition. They're going to take my patients. And it's the exact opposite. It's like, no, I don't want your patients. I just want to test. And I say, look, if I worked for you and my equipment was in the corner of your clinic, this is what I would give you. I would do the test. I'd give you the information that comes from it, and you would implement that into your treatment plan or your discharge or your return to sports plan. And so it's basically the same thing. I'm just doing it, 10 miles or 10 minutes up the road from you. So I try
Yeah.
to make it to where I treat it as like a partnership. I even have a handful of PTs in the area where they will, they'll send them over for a test. And if there's a long way to go, they might come here once a week and get a treatment, but then they're getting treated there twice a week.
Okay.
And that's, every case is different. Sometimes you get people in there, they're 75% of the way recovered. Well, at that stage, they don't really need the extra work or their extra help.
Right.
We've even had where they've been discharged from their physical therapy from their insurance plan, and they tested out and they were significantly less than they were. It's not that they had bad therapy, not that they had a bad surgeon, just sometimes ACLs take more time.
Yeah.
Right. So we were able to use our reports and our data as a justification to get them more insurance-based physical therapy. So I
Okay.
always try to approach it as, look, I'm a supplement and an adjunct to any care that you're already getting, just to get your patients better care and, reduce that re-injury rate for our ACLers here in town.
Yeah. I have to know the numbers. You find that it's harder for a 45-year-old man if I tear my ACL? I mean, I'm playing soccer two times a week. Like, is it going to take me a lot longer to come back?
Not typically. So
No.
the reason why you
ACL's
might
nice.
be better at it is you've had more training. Your training age is more, right?
Mhm.
It is harder for people as we get into our 40s. It is harder to gain strength, right, than it is when we were in our late teens or early 20s. But a lot of times when people are getting these injuries, it's because they don't have full strength yet. And this mainly are high schoolers, right? They haven't grown fully into their adult bodies, or they're still in that transition. Their ligament laxity is a little bit different because they're still maturing. But by the time we're older, and most adults will tear like skiing or playing recreational sports, but at that point they've already been playing. The hardest part, I would say, for most adults is just finding the time to get the exercise in. But primarily, most people will get about 5 months of physical therapy after an ACL. But at
Right.
that time, your insurance doesn't care that you get back to sport. They want to see that you've regained your range of motion, regained normal strength and normal function for a daily activities of daily living. So you're discharged from there, but then it's a guessing game. And you really don't know. And, at 6 months, you might be 80% of the way there, but you might only be halfway there. So it's just kind of like letting you know where you stand. And that way you can use that to make your decision.
Okay.
You know,
And
we
you
have
do.
had some people that returned before they regained it. But at that point, it's like, look, your risk.
Yeah.
It might be like they have a scholarship on the line,
Right.
or it's their senior year, and they're not gonna go out and play as all the way as intense, but they do want to, just for the emotional, psychosocial side of it, they want to return to their sport.
Yeah.
So they know, even if it's just in a practice capacity, being a part of the team. But it's all about knowing where that risk is. I always liken it to, if anybody knows what a jalopy is, back in college, I had an old junker car. And this car did just fine when I was driving around the streets of Tampa. It did great. If I had to get on the highway, as long as I was going through town, I was fine. But there's no way that car would have made it if I tried to drive it. I grew up in Indiana. If I tried to drive that car from Tampa to Indiana on the interstate, that car is going to break down along the way. So it's just kind of knowing at what stage or at what level your body or your knee is able to handle the load.
Right. I don't think I'm a jalopy quite yet, but on the way there.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you can always stop in. Well, throw you on the equipment, do it. See where you are. See what that status is, and that way you kind of know. And if it's hey, this muscle could get it has another 20% that it could get to optimize where you are. Or hey, you're actually looking really good. Just maintain where you're at.
Yeah. Okay. And you do physical therapy too, right?
Absolutely.
Like, just go there. Only.
Exactly. Yeah. Somebody could come here. I don't work with insurances. And, some people like that because they get that one-on-one care. We do have the advanced equipment, but I usually say, if it's for just something small, a little bit of nagging knee pain or shoulder pain, back pain, come on in. If it's something major, like if we find, hey, you need to have a rotator cuff surgery or an ACL surgery or a total knee, like I always recommend, look, use your insurance benefits, go to one of the local clinics. There's great therapists, not just in Dunwoody. Dunwoody has fantastic physical therapists, but Dunwoody, Brookhaven, really all of Atlanta, you're not going to get bad physical therapy in the city. So I would say if it's something big, where it's going to take you 15 to 20 visits just to get back to higher level function, use your insurance for those visits. You're going to get great care. And then when you're discharged, come in, let's see where your strength is. Let's see what your status is. And then we can go from there.
And it's better to get, multiple people to look at the problem. You're going to get different things from different people. And yeah, that's cool. So, okay. How do people get in touch with you? Do they just walk in your doors? Do you want them to go online?
Yeah. So if you want to get a hold of me, you can use my email or my Instagram. I'm a big messenger on there. My email is daniel@proactiveathleticperformance.com. And then my Instagram is going to be Proactive Athletic Performance. I get a lot of people that message me directly on Instagram. They reach out to me there. Even on my website, there's a form that you can contact me, but you can email me as well. I think I even have my cell phone on my listed on my website because, like I said, with me traveling, sometimes it's easier just to get a hold of me and shoot me a text, and then we can get you set up. I'm pretty informal that way, which is nice when you have that low volume. You can give people that more special care.
And Instagram, I think you might be the first person to ever say DM me on Instagram on the show.
Oh yeah, it's easy. It comes right to my phone. Yeah. Whether you're sending me a text with my phone number or you're sending, getting a hold of me on Instagram, it's coming right to me. So whether I'm in the clinic that day or I'm, picking up my kids or sitting at soccer practice with them, or I'm, sitting in an airport because I'm, on a flight. It's just so much easier to get a hold of me that way.
The only problem is when I go to look where, I know Daniel sent me something, you're going to Instagram, you're going to email, you're going to all these different places. Maybe it was a text.
Yeah, exactly.
the DMs are pretty crucial. Well, cool. Well, thanks for coming on, man. Dunwoody, if you need any of these services, check out Daniel. And it's good meeting you, man. I'll have to come in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Matt.
Absolutely.